Hello, I'm Mr. Jaime, and welcome to a new science video. This time we talk about the formation of the geological regions of Ecuador. Straddling the equatorial line in northwestern South America, Ecuador has territories in both the northern and southern hemispheres. The country borders Colombia to the north, the Pacific Ocean to the west, Peru to the south and east, and has an extremely diverse geography. Natural landscapes make up a good deal of Ecuador's landmass and is divided into three distinct natural regions. The Galapagos Islands and the coastal lowlands are grouped together because of climate similarities. The Andean Highlands divides Ecuador in half, and the Amazon rainforest occupies the area between the Andes Mountains and the borders with Colombia and Peru. The backbone of the country is the Andes Mountain Range, which traverses the country from north to south and divides Ecuador into western coastal lowlands and the eastern jungles of the Amazon. To understand how Ecuador's regions were formed, we have to look at the movement of the tectonic plates Ecuador is situated on. Approximately 100 million years ago, there was a crash between two tectonic plates. The Nazca Plate, which is relatively young and not very thick, and the South American Plate, a much older and heavier plate. This is a movement we called Convergent Movement because the plates come together. Think of it like a crash between something very light, like a bicycle, and something heavy, like a car or a truck. When the bicycle hits the car, it ends up underneath the car because the car is so heavy, it can just roll right over the bike. The same happens with the tectonic plates. When a small plate crashes against a very thick plate, we call it subduction process. Over a long period of time, this process produces cracks and buckles on the thick South American plate, which eventually forms a mountain range with many volcanoes. Eventually, it's formed the longest mountain range on Earth. We call it the Andean Mountain Range today. Remember, the Galapagos Islands are not connected to the main continental plate and were formed by other methods. The islands are volcanic and are part of a different mountain range which is almost entirely underwater. This process of volcanic mountains takes place at the edge of the Nazca Plate, where it meets the Cocos Plate on the west side. There are hotspots that create volcanoes. The hotspots are stationary underneath the crust. While the plate moves above it, it creates a chain of volcanoes every so often. So, thanks to these geological movements, Ecuador has a very diverse range of temperatures and climates. This has created a huge biodiversity, and each region is completely unique. The Galapagos Islands are influenced by the cold Humboldt Current. Thus, the climate is arid and slightly colder than the mainland coastal region. Examples of the landscapes and flora include white sand beaches, cactus, forest, and volcanic lakes in varying shades of emerald green, as well as active volcanoes, spitting lava, and some examples of the fauna this type of variety creates are giant tortoises, colorful penguins, sea iguanas, colorful birds, and sharks. The coastal lowlands region of Ecuador runs along the west coast of the country and is situated between the Pacific Ocean and the foothills of the Andes Mountain Range. Generally, the coastal lowlands region is warm and humid year-around, with temperatures averaging 25 to 31 degrees Celsius. The coastal lowlands region are made up of sandy beaches, large rivers, grassy plains, misty rainforests, and thick mangrove swamps. Now, many of the coastal rainforests are of the dry tropical variety and are home to a large diversity of endemic species, such as the white-fronted capuchin monkey, also mantled howler monkeys that leap through the treetops in search of insects and fruit. Sloths and ocelots also live in the forest, along with frogs that have adapted to living on the tiniest trickle of water during the dry season. Next is the Highlands region. The Highlands region of Ecuador lies between the western coastal lowlands and the eastern jungles. It is a naturally diverse area of untamed volcanoes, hot springs, unique flora and fauna, serene landscapes, misty cloud forests, and barren panorama vistas. The Andean Highlands boast some of the most recognizable features of Ecuador, including vast patchworks of small fields of potatoes, maize, and other grains in Tungurahua, or pristine water of the lakes of Imbabura in the Andes Mountains. The Andes mountain range is the longest mountain range in the world, with some of Earth's most impressive peaks. Wheat, corn, barley, and quinoa are all grown in the high northern portion of Ecuador's Andes mountain range, and the endemic animals include llamas and alpacas, the Andean spectacled bear, deer, and the majestic condor. Now, the Amazon rainforest region of Ecuador consists of the easternmost area of the country, east of the Andes, and descending towards the Amazon basin. This region shares borders with Colombia and Peru and contains part of the Amazon rainforest, as well as rivers, waterfalls, and humid lowlands. The region is generally hot and humid, with temperatures ranging from 26 to 35 degrees, and even higher occasionally. The dense tropical jungles that cover most of the region are some of the most biologically diverse areas in the entire world. Ecuador's Amazon region is home of the largest diversity of plants and animals per square kilometer in the world, and is third in the world for its variety of amphibians and fifth for butterflies. The numerous wildlife reserves and national parks are home to thousands of birds and fish species, including exotic species like anacondas, jaguars, butterflies, frogs, monkeys, and seemingly infinite bird species. So, students, what have we learned today? First, what are the regions of Ecuador? How were they formed? What makes each different?